All right, so the first thing I want to look at is the problem. And I need you to identify what kind of triangle this is, okay? As I'm looking this and I'm trying to mock it and sketch it out with it, I notice that this side of the triangle is 5, and I notice that this side of the triangle is 5, but the bottom of the triangle is 6. So if you look at it, it's 5 millimeters, and this one is 5 millimeters, and this is 6 millimeters. So you might remember from elementary school that makes this a scalene triangle because two sides are the same, okay? That means when I draw the rest of my rectangular prism here, remember prisms have rectangles, or triangular prisms rather, they have rectangles, that this rectangle on the front is the same as the one on the back. So if I think of this like a tent, the two tops of the tent are going to be exactly the same, but the bottom of the tent, or the base of this, the base rectangle, is going to be different. Okay, it's not drawn to scale, just keep that in mind. So if this is 5, this is 5, this is 6, over on my picture, they're telling me that the other part of the rectangle here is 5 millimeters, and that the height of this triangle is 4 millimeters. Okay, so now I've just sketched out what they have here so I can better understand it. What am I going to do? The first thing I'm going to do is find the area of my triangles. And remember that I have 2 of them. So how do I find the area of a triangle? Remember, I have a formula. Area is equal to the base times the height, and we divide that by 2. Okay, so I write down my formula. Even at my age, I still write down my formulas, and I'm going to plug in what I know. Right? I don't know the area yet, but I know that is equal to the base of it, right, this side, which is 6, times the height of it, which they gave us in the dotted line, is 4. So I have 6 times 4, and I'm going to need to divide that by 2. All right, we know that 6 times 4 is 24. 24 divided by 2 is 12. So my area is equal to 12 millimeters squared. Okay, that is for one triangle. But remember, I have the front and I also have the back. So I have to go back and I have to multiply that by 2, which gives me 24 again. So you might notice that, like, ooh, I could kind of skip a step if I notice that I'm going to have to go back and multiply it by 2 at the end. Okay, so my triangles, my 2 triangles, is equal to 24 millimeters squared. So I'm partially done with the problem. That's one thing that I need to know and find out. All right, what's next? I need to find the area of this side rectangle, the top and the other side of the top. If I think of it like a tent, right, the 2 tops of the tent. Well, if this side is 5 and this side is 5, again, I'm going to do area is equal to the length times the width, right? So I'm going to go 5 times 5, which I know is 25. That's for one rectangle. And how many do I have? I have 2 rectangles that are congruent or exactly the same. So I know my 2 rectangles are going to be put together, and that's going to be 50 millimeters squared. Okay, now I have to do the base or the bottom of this tent, right? So if this side again is 6 and the longer side of the length, oh, not longer in this case, but the length is 5, again, I'm going to write down my formula. Area is equal to the length times the width, which is going to be 6 times 5. It doesn't matter, right? Because we're multiplying. 6 times 5 is 30 millimeters squared. And I only have one bottom to the tent, so I just have to add that one time. So that's 30 millimeters squared. So that's my one rectangle. Okay, so now I need to add them up. I can do this by hand or I can use my calculator. I suggest using a calculator because you make less mistakes usually. But we have 4 plus 0 is 4, right? 2 plus 5 is 7. 7 plus 3 is 10. So I get 104. So my surface area, and that's the whole thing, is equal to 104 millimeters squared. So when I come over here and I put in my numbers, 104, and I'm going to be careful about that, and I hit submit, I'm already up to 10. Okay? So again, it took a long time to do one problem, but if I'm working slowly and diligently, I'm not going to get pushed back by getting wrong answers. Do you want to do another one? Yes, Mrs. Chenoweth, we'd love to. I missed that. Here we go. We'll try it again. Again, I'm going to look at my triangle, right? So they give me this triangle here, and they're saying, all right, this side is 5. Oh, I like that. Nice, easy number. It's 5 meters. This side is 5 meters, and my base, again, is 6 meters. So it's the same triangle that I had before, right? And they're telling me the height of this is 4 meters, okay? So when I go to finish out my picture, I know that I'm going to draw like a rectangle off of here, right? Or kind of trying to make it look three-dimensional, but it is supposed to be a rectangle. And this side over here is 7 meters, okay? So I look at my triangle. It has two sides that are same, so it's telling me it's a scalene triangle, which tells me two sides or two rectangles will be the same, and the last one will be different. Again, I have my paper, my pen, and my calculator, and I'm not trying to do it in my head, okay? So, triangles first. Area is equal to the base times the height divided by 2. I'm going to plug in what I know. I know that my base is 6, okay? My height, right, the distance from top to bottom is 4, and I'm going to divide that by 2. So I get 24 divided by 2, which equals 12, which just happens to be the same as the last problem. Okay, so I know my two triangles because I have one in the front and one in the back. So 12 times 2 equals 24. So when I go to add in my triangles, the front of my tent and the back of my tent are both together 24 meters squared. Okay, so that's part of the information that I need to know. I'm going to separate this out from my work. Okay, so now I need to take my time and think about the first rectangle. So I do the top of the tent first. That's my personal preference. So if this side is 5 and this side is 7, right, I'm going to do area is equal to the length times the width. So I'm going to do 5 times 7, which we should know is 35, right? So my area equals 35 meters squared. But if this front side of the tent is 35, that means the back side of the tent is 35 as well, right? So I need to do 35 times 2. I'm going to times it by 2 because I have 2 of them. Is going to be 70. Okay, so the area is equal to 70 meters squared. You can hear my dog growling in the background, most likely. Is what it is when we're working from home, right? Lastly, I need the bottom or the base of my tent, right? So if I take a look at the base of my tent, I know it's a rectangle. Area is equal to length times width again, because that's the rectangle. I'm going to do this side is 6 and this side is 7, so 6 times 7, right? Area is equal to 6 times 7 equals 42, right? And that's it. I only have one base, so this is going to be 42 meters squared. So what do I need to do? All right, so this is my two triangles. Together is 24. My two rectangles, the tops, right? Together, we said each one was 35, so together they were 70, right? 70 meters squared. And then my base, right, or the bottom rectangle was 42 meters squared. So now I have to add them up. And again, I use my calculator, or you can just work it out. That's fine too. Sometimes we can do that. So 4 plus 2 is 6, right? 2 plus 7 is 9. 9 plus 4 is 13. So my surface area is equal to 136 meters squared. So I'm going to come over here to my IXL scale. I'm going to type in 136 and I'm going to hit submit. And hopefully we have the right answer. Oh, look, we do. We're up there. Okay. So now I've given you 2 problems to go with. You always have to check the triangle to see what kind it is. If all the numbers are exactly the same, it's equilateral, which means that all of the rectangles would be the same. That's the big hint here. You have to look at what type of triangle you have to see how much you're going to have to put into this.